The reason you keep failing to start a new habit isn't a problem with your commitment, it's a problem with the calendar. We'll show you the scientific secret behind fresh start days and how they instantly break negative cycles to reset your entire life. So let's get into this masterclass on hacking your own timeline for peak performance. Look, for years, we've all been told the same story. If you fail to stick with a new goal, going to the gym, writing that book, whatever it is, it's a personal failing, right? A lack of willpower. But what if that entire idea is just wrong? What if the problem isn't your engine, but your timing? The latest behavioral science is showing us that when you start is just as important, maybe even more important, than what you start.
So let's just reframe this whole thing. Over on the left, you've got the old broken model, willpower failure. This is the one that tells you that you just didn't want it enough, and it creates this nasty cycle of guilt and feeling bad about yourself. But on the right, that's the real diagnosis, calendar misuse. This is what's actually going on. You're trying to force a new beginning on a day that your brain doesn't see as a new chapter. It's like our brains use time as a storybook, and if you don't start on a fresh page, you're really just scribbling in the margins of the old, messy one.
To solve this, we're going to walk through a complete system. First, we'll diagnose what I call the inertia problem. Then I'll give you a 3-phase framework to just smash right through it. We'll get into the psychology of the reset so you understand why this works so well before giving you a 3-step implementation plan and your single strategic first step. Okay, so let's get into the diagnosis. Why is starting something brand new on, say, a random Tuesday afternoon so incredibly hard, even when you feel super motivated? Well, the answer is this powerful psychological force that scientists call inertia.
And this is a perfect definition. See, this isn't physical inertia, it's psychological. It's the accumulated weight of all your past attempts and failures. Every single time you tried and then stopped, a little bit of that baggage just stuck around. So when you try to start again on just some ordinary day, you're actually trying to lift that entire weight. Your brain remembers the old story, which makes it incredibly hard to believe a new story is even possible.
Now, this inertia gets all its fuel from something called the old self narrative. This is that quiet, subconscious story that you're always telling yourself. It's that little voice that whispers, "I'm the kind of person who starts things but never finishes," or "I've tried this a million times, it's not gonna work." This story acts like gravity, constantly pulling you back to your old patterns. And without a clear symbolic break from that old self, the story just keeps playing on a loop.
And this brings us to the core question. When I'm sure you felt deep down, why does starting on a random Wednesday just feel so arbitrary, so doomed to fail? It's because that Wednesday is still part of the last chapter in your story. There's no narrative break. You wake up, it feels exactly like Tuesday did, and all that psychological baggage of the old self is sitting right there with you at the breakfast table. You're trying to build a new castle on shaky ground.
Okay, enough about the problem. Let's pivot to the solution. Because the antidote to inertia and that old self-narrative isn't just more motivation. No, it's a precise, structured system. It's about a better strategy that builds a completely new foundation from the ground up.
And the framework is beautifully simple. Just 3 phases. First, the calendar audit, where you become a strategist of your own timeline. Second, the separation ritual. This is a critical step to create a psychological boundary. And third, goal specification, where you channel all that new momentum into a specific, unavoidable action. You put these 3 together and you have a system that makes starting new habits feel less like a chore and more like, well, an inevitability. All right, phase 1 is the calendar audit. Your job here is to stop seeing your calendar as just a flat grid of boring, equal days and start seeing it as a landscape with peaks and valleys. You need to identify your high-impact temporal landmarks. These can be public ones, like New Year's Day, the first of the month, the first day of spring, or they can be deeply personal, your birthday, a meaningful anniversary, the first day of a new job. These are your power-up moments. These are the dates you circle on the calendar and build your entire launch around. Now, phase 2 is the one most people miss, and it is absolutely crucial, the separation ritual. You have to create a clear dividing line between your past and your future. This is a symbolic act, and it's designed to signal to your brain that the old chapter is officially closed. I mean, it can be as simple as clearing your entire desk the night before your start date, or deleting those old distracting apps off your phone, or even writing down your past failures and literally throwing that piece of paper away. This is all about the idea that a mental reset often needs a physical trigger.
And finally, phase 3, goal specification. Look, all the motivation in the world from a fresh start is totally useless if you don't know exactly what to do with it. So we use this simple but incredibly powerful formula called an implementation intention. The structure is, if landmark, then I will atomic behavior.
Now, an atomic behavior is an action that's so small it's almost impossible not to do it. Think, do one push-up, or write one sentence. This channels all that launch energy into a single, super low friction action. It guarantees you get started.
So now you have the what. Let's dive into the why. Because this isn't just some clever productivity hack. It's a deep cognitive recalibration. And understanding the psychology behind this is what will make you really believe in it and, more importantly, actually use it.
The power of these temporal landmarks really boils down to 3 psychological mechanisms. First, there's the new identity effect, which lets you mentally distance yourself from past failures. Second, it overrides decision fatigue by making your start time completely non-negotiable. And third, it reduces attributional bias. That's just a fancy way of saying it changes how you explain failures to yourself, which protects your motivation.
So the new identity effect is really the secret sauce here. A landmark like your birthday or the first of the month, it gives your brain permission to see your past self as a different person. It lets you look back at the old you who struggled and say, you know what, that was them, this is me, now. This clean break creates this incredible surge of optimism and belief in yourself, making you genuinely feel that this time can be different.
Next up, the system just elegantly bypasses decision fatigue. Think about it. Every day you could start a new habit is another day you have to waste precious mental energy debating if today is the day. A landmark totally removes that debate. It's a powerful, pre-committed external cue. It's like setting an alarm clock for your ambition. When Monday morning arrives, there's no discussion. The plan is set. You just execute. All that willpower you saved can go toward the actual task.
And this part is just brilliant. The framework also protects you from future failure. So let's say you have a setback after your fresh start. This system helps you attribute that slip-up to a lingering habit of the old self, not some fundamental flaw in the new self. So instead of thinking, I failed, I'm a failure, you can think, oh, that was just an old pattern popping up. The new me learns from that and moves on. It keeps your motivation and your growth mindset totally intact.
All right, we've covered the theory, we've covered the psychology, now let's get ruthlessly practical. I'm going to give you a simple 3-step protocol that you can use, like right now, to implement this entire system. This is your non-negotiable action plan.
Here it is, 3 simple steps. First, you're going to schedule your fresh start day. Second, you will create your intention lock. That's your specific action formula. And third, you will perform the separation ritual the night before. Let's break down exactly how to nail each one.
Step 1, schedule your fresh start day. I mean it. Pull out your calendar right now and find the next powerful landmark. It could be the first of next month, it could be next Monday, that's a classic for a reason, it could be your next birthday. Now the key rule here is this: do not start today. The time between now and your landmark isn't for waiting around. It's for preparation, for planning, and for building anticipation. And that anticipation is a huge part of the motivational fuel.
Okay, step 2, create your intention lock. This has to be a precise 10-word or less formula. Just look at this example. If it is Monday morning, then I will do 2 push-ups. See, it's not I'll try to work out. It's super specific, it's tied to the landmark, and the behavior is ridiculously small. The goal isn't to get fit on day 1. The goal is to not fail on day 1. You're building an identity as someone who shows up. The big stuff can come later. And step 3, perform the separation ritual. The night before your fresh start day, you must create a physical clean slate. This is non-negotiable. If your goal is to write more, clear your desk of everything except your laptop. If your goal is to eat healthier, clean out your fridge of all the junk food. This physical act sends a massive signal to your brain. The old environment is gone and a new one is here. The stage is set for the new you.
So after all of that, the psychology, the framework, the action plan, what is the single most important step you can take? It's this: you have to master your calendar. You have the power to start a new chapter anytime you want, but you absolutely have to choose the date strategically.
So let's distill this whole system down. Just remember, these temporal landmarks are your solution to habit inertia and that low-efficacy story of the old self. And why does this matter so much? Because it gives you a systematic way to hack your own calendar and dramatically boost your chances of starting any new goal. The tools are the separation ritual, which creates that psychological clean slate, and the implementation intention, which channels all your motivation into a low-friction action plan. So your challenge is simple. Choose your next fresh start day, lock in your atomic habit, and stop letting a past version of you dictate your future. Because productivity isn't about doing more. It's about mastering systems that make focus effortless. The only question left is, which date on your calendar is going to mark the beginning of your new story?